talk, the genuine choice.
No pretense, no hidden schemes. Just sports, passion, fueling dreams. From the field to the court, every play that's made. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up, hear the honest sound. Unfiltered sports all year round. Discussions pure, no masquerade. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up. Over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates.
Real takes over fake debates.
And we are live. SBtalksports, Sean Webb, real takes over fake debates. Sean, I don't know if you're shaking your head because you just seen a report that pop up on my screen, the one I just seen, but it's definitely going to fall into a topic that we're talking about.
I mean, it's definitely breaking news.
Definitely breaking news. Oh, my. I don't know if we should start. We had some NBA to start first before we start talking about the Colts, but I'm gonna say we wait. I say we can wait, but I'm just saying the breaking news as a possible former Chargers legend quarterback. I'm gonna say Chargers legend could possibly come back to play for a former team that he played for outside of the Chargers. That's all I'm gonna say for now, because that definitely just popped up on my news feed. That is definitely breaking news.
Well,
but
yeah, no, it's being reported that said Chargers legend will work out for that team tomorrow.
Because I know Anthony Richardson is out too.
Yes, he's out with an eye injury. He has a detached retina.
Oh, wait, that sounds bad right there. Salute Tiffany in the chat. Happy Monday, SB and Sean. After that loss, I am done with Tiffany. You've been saying Fire John for like 2 years now. At this point, Tiffany might be right. Tiffany, right? What's up, Daniel? Salute everybody in chat. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe. Another breaking news. They just said Daniel Jones out for the year, and Riley Leonard is on day-to-day with a ligament injury. So everything's going crazy with the news. Guys, we got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to cover. Obviously, you see we got a lot of injuries when they come into the grind time of the NFL season. With SB and Sean, it's real takes on fake debates, but we got to get to some NBA first because, Sean, it's getting close to December. I think the exact date to be exact, like around December 15th. If it wasn't the 5th, I know it's the 5th or the 15th, when a lot of guys who signed extensions are eligible to be traded. One of the guys who's been the main guy that's been talked about a lot during this time because he wanted to leave Golden State was Jonathan Kuminga. But he ended up signing an extension with the team. But even for me, when he signed that extension, I feel like this was just to give him some money for now and then give him a favorable contract where we paid him to make him happy to be paid, but the contract is easy to move. So I do think he will be traded. But, Sean, I'm going to ask you, do you believe Jonathan Kuminga will be traded this season?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The big question is what the Warriors want back because they view Jonathan Kuminga as an asset. Otherwise, they would have let him, walk after last season. Certainly, the Warriors, want to try to maximize this window, what they believe is about a 2-year window with Steph Curry and Draymond. And there was supposed conversations about a potential Jimmy Butler for Anthony Davis swap. But that's it. I think they want to maximize this window. And if they can get a veteran guy to come in, who fits their timeline, certainly they will do that. I think they're reviewing, in my opinion, Jonathan Kuminga not all that dissimilar to how the Rockets were viewing Jalen Green last year, which was, hey, we're going to sign you to this extension, but we don't necessarily see you as a big part of our long-term future. if you get your value up, then maybe we can flip you for something, which we know they obviously did when they flipped him as a part of the Kevin Durant trade this last offseason. So I think that's how the Warriors were viewing Kuminga. He started the season out really well. He was averaging almost 18 points a game, and he was playing, pretty well. But, he had a DNP the other night against the Bulls in a blowout game. Sorry, SB. So, there's –
it happens.
Yeah, so obviously there's some, concern about, what his long-term, viability and future is in the Bay Area. But I would say he is absolutely going to get traded.
Yeah, I think even with the extension that they signed for him, it was seen like all signs point to him getting traded anyway. Kuminga don't want to be there. I feel like Steve Kerr don't really want Kuminga to be there, or he don't know how to use Kuminga. Honestly, I think Steve Kerr don't know how to develop a player, to be honest. If developing any young player or a big for sure, I don't think Steve Kerr knows how to do it. I think Steve Kerr learned his system with Steph Curry and those other guys, and then that was just it. He figured that out, and then he called it quits with that. Because I think Kuminga is very talented, but I do think the problem come into play where Steve Kerr and the Warriors understand that Steph and the Draymond window is very short, so they're trying to get the most out of these guys while they can, because Steph Curry might be gone within the next 4 years, 3 maybe, 2 possibly, depending on how you really feeling. So I think they don't have time to deal with a rookie making rookie mistakes and let him develop. So and I think that's why you don't see Kuminga out there as much as he was before then. I think only reason why he's getting as much time as he was now was like what you alluded to, is to raise his trade value. If I feel like if they didn't want to raise his trade value or his contract was like another year extended, I don't think Kuminga would have played, because you even seen last year when he didn't really even play him like that. So I do think Kuminga will be traded. Now, where would that be? There was a lot of situations. I know the Bulls was in talks, but they didn't want Nikola Vucevic. They were trying to ask too much. Like they wanted like a first-round pick for Kuminga, which I don't believe they will get. I think the most they will get is either like a aspiring vet contract or a vet who wants to push them to win the championship, and they might have to give up a pick depending on how good that vet is. Or it could be a straight up trade, but they will not receive nothing more than a second-round pick for Jonathan Kuminga. But I do believe he will be traded. Sean, speaking of another person that want to be traded, and we brought my Bulls that we lost. We are on. Sean, we are on a 7-game losing streak right now. If I look at the Chicago Bulls record right now, all right, and rock with me. I know a lot of people don't care about Chicago Bulls, but rock with me. I'm finna take us somewhere. We are 11th seed, right? We are 9-14, Sean. 9-14. We have already had 2 5-game losing streaks, and we're currently on a 7-game losing streak. Imagine, we're not even halfway through the season yet. And then a player of the caliber of Giannis Antetokounmpo been hitting that he wanted to go to Chicago. And I'll be honest with you, Sean, the only reason why Giannis would consider Chicago the way he did is because, one, Giannis clearly wants to go to a big market for money-wise, and also it's probably easier to get teammates to come to a New York, a Chicago, a LA, because it's a big city. But the reason why he picked Chicago, because Chicago is a driving distance from Milwaukee, and Giannis loved Milwaukee. You know what the Chicago Bulls said, Sean? Hey, Giannis might consider coming, because his agent called them. They didn't call Giannis. Giannis' agent called the Bulls and said, hey, how would you feel if Giannis wants to come there? And Sean, they said no. What have the Chicago Bulls done? And Sean, I even agree with this for you when you said sometimes you got to break up with the team for a while. I'm on the verge of that with the Chicago Bulls. You know, I love the Chicago Bulls who think and thin. I'm on the verge of breaking up with the Bulls for a while until they actually do something. I will come back and be a fan of this team when you actually show me that you care instead of scamming us by going 41-41 and trying to go to the play-in? How will a guy of the Giannis Antetokounmpo caliber, a top 5 player, when healthy, top 2, no lower than 3 player in the league says he wants to come to your team and you says no? And you say no? That don't make logical sense to me. What have the Bulls done in the past 10 years to have the cojones to say, no, we don't want Giannis? That tells me you don't want to win. Why am I wasting my time being a fan to watch this team? After Derrick Rose jersey don't retire, I'm going to be like, I might take a couple years off, Sean. I might have to because I don't know. At this point, I don't know what this franchise is doing. When a player of Giannis caliber says, I want to play for your team, I don't want to hear the excuse of, yeah, this is my core. We want to keep this core. The core that's currently on the 7-game losing streak, you make it happen when a player like Giannis want to come to your team. This is Chicago. This is a big market. You can get people to want to come to Chicago. And there's been players that wanted to come play for Chicago. The only person who stopped Chicago from having major big-name players and being consistently competitive is ownership. He's the only owner who runs his team like a small market team. Because Chicago is a beautiful city. People would love to live in Chicago, besides in December. That's it. Besides December. And sometimes people will still deal with it. Because you just get you a truck and you'll be older, you'll get through that snow. But the whole point is, Sean, what made me mad was that what have we done to say no to a player like Giannis? Because I want to hear your point a little bit because I don't want to take up go too crazy on this. I want to hear your point because I know a lot of people gonna say, "Oh, you trade for Giannis, you can't do nothing." I already got the blueprint for that, but I want to hear what you said first before I keep going further.
So I think there are a couple things to consider, SB. Anytime a player allegedly becomes available or a team, makes it clear that they, would be interested in hearing what they could get for a player, there's conversations that happens in front offices around a couple of things. One, is this a player we can acquire? 2, what we have to give up to acquire? And 3, what does this do in terms of the finances and contracts and things of that nature? Because there's a lot of factors to consider. Why the Bulls would make that decision, I'm not really sure. Again, if they were saying, hey, what would Milwaukee want? If I were in Milwaukee's side, what will Milwaukee want? Will Milwaukee want Buzelis and Giddey to make that happen? The second piece is if a player who would need an extension at some point, and Giannis would need an extension at some point, is he guaranteed to sign an extension once the extension is eligible? Because once you give up a bunch of assets for a player and you get that player in your building and that player says, well, I'm not going to resign, you've put yourself in a really, really interesting situation.
That's true.
There are some teams that are willing to take that risk. Toronto did it, obviously, in 2018, 2019 with Kawhi. But generally speaking, you don't want to do that. I think there are other factors to consider that we don't want to get too in-depth in, CBA, apron, things of that nature. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But I understand your point and the frustration, but I want people to understand something and fans to understand something. There are business elements to this. But the biggest business element to this is if you don't get ownership to sign off on it or ownership to say, hey, go do whatever you got to do to make it happen, it's probably not going to happen.
No, I think Ransdorf, I know 100% Ransdorf said no because he said, why would I try to spend all this money and I can still sell out the arena with spending half the money? And the other problem that I have with whatever money that he's worried about spending on Giannis, Chicago Bulls fan base have shown we will double your money back. We come to the games. We buy all the merchandise. We will sell, Sean. We will sell. That's what missed me with Reinsdorf and how they run our ownership. Sean, we was selling out games when we had Cameron Payne, Paul Zipser, and Denzel Valentine in our starting lineup, and people still can't support the game. So Reinsdorf can miss me with that. He's being a cheap owner just to be cheap. He's greedy, bro. He's being greedy for no reason. My only problem is because I know people be like, if you trade for Giannis, you got to give up all this. You can't really build a team around him. Part of the problem that Giannis had with Milwaukee, I want to credit and salute to Milwaukee. They literally got the max out the juice of what they could have got for Giannis in Milwaukee, and they got a championship out of that. They did everything possible they could do in a small market with people who don't want to go to Milwaukee for Giannis. And you know how I honestly feel. I told you I don't think Giannis should leave anyway. You won a championship. What are you leaving for? You don't need to leave. You let the narratives and people talk to try to make you leave. Milwaukee did everything they could as a small market team. Now imagine what a team like Chicago could do in a major market where Giannis doesn't have to, or the Chicago Bulls organization don't have to go 1.5 miles to get an extra player here or there, because people will come play for Chicago. One of your favorite players almost came to Chicago on his own. D-Wade, just before the second end when he still came to Chicago, when he wanted to come play for Chicago. LeBron James, that was next on the list before the big three decided to, let's all just go together to Miami. Because the original plan was, hey, we all need to go somewhere where we all in a new spot. But you know who else played a part in that when it worked? The same thing with the ownership. Because they didn't want to do nothing. You don't want to be held accountable. And maybe it's more of me as a Bulls fan, seeing what the Chicago Bulls have done as being a problem for me. Because, okay, if you saying that this young core is our future, we got our draft pick back. This draft is one of the biggest drafts of talent we ever had. Why haven't you pull in a Pittsburgh Steelers? Why do you want to just be mid-pack mediocre and we don't get a good enough pick to get a good player? Or if you telling me that, why is Billy Donovan not playing our rookie that we got in the lottery at the 12th pick? And he just out for the season. So, because this was going to happen, Sean. They're going to tell us it's all about our core. We're going to be trash until February. Mark my words, Sean. Mark my words. You know I'm going to hit on the head with this. About February after All-Star break, the Bulls going to go on a run. And we're going to be finished at the 9th seed in a play-in like we usually do. Just the same story. And I'm starting to feel like this is the formula of what they want for me. But I think this is ignorant to the point where I cannot be a fan. You're blatantly showing me this. It's always been superstitious about this, but to say no straight up for Giannis, or at least they could have came out and said, like, we saying no to Giannis because we generally don't think with the new rules, even if it's big, I still think you still could do it. But I rather would have heard, I don't really think with the new CBA and the rules that we can make Giannis happy to want to stay and we can build a championship around him. So we're going to back off on the trade. I would have respected that more than just said the Bulls genuinely said no because we like our young core better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, stop it, Sean. I'm that's the most clean as I can say it because I want to say a lot of other stuff, but we gonna move on. We ain't got too much time. We got to get to some football. Next up on the list, Sean, Clippers send Chris Paul home. It's been a lot of things that have came out from recently. Obviously, when everybody originally found out about this was from Chris Paul IG story where he said he found out he just got sent home at 3 a.m, by the way. Then more things came out where they said Chris Paul was trying to hold people on the team accountable, Kawhi Leonard especially, Ty Lue. Then other reports came out saying that he was undermining Ty Lue and he pretty much stepping on Ty Lue's toes. Him and Ty Lue wasn't talking. So what is your genuine reaction to this? Or honestly, I want to know what was your first reaction when you first heard it? Then what was your reaction once all the information came out? Who was in the right, who was in the wrong for you?
So I'll say a couple things, SB. Two things. One, it doesn't surprise me this happened. When a team is 5-16, it's usually going to be turmoil, particularly a team that had expectations. And at the end of the day, the Clippers were a 50-win team last year. They felt they made some moves to put them back in that conversation, albeit They were an older team, but that team had some issues. Namely, one, they play very slow, and two, they weren't very good defensively like they were last year. So it doesn't come as a shock that this happened. The second thing is, and I'm just speaking from an organizational perspective, I think a lot of times it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And because teams or players and agents are looking at how you handle these situations, and this is the best way you could handle it, was just to send him home in the middle of the night. Like, I felt like there were some things that the Clippers could have done from a PR perspective that would have said, hey, we want to part ways, but we got to do this in a way that doesn't give us this horrible perception and perspective, as again, prospective players and agents are looking at us as a potential destination, over the short and long term. I put that on Lawrence Frank because he's running the front office, and someone should have said, hey, listen, there's a way to do this for one of the best players in our franchise's history, that we can do this better, and we need to do this better, and they didn't. So I'm going to put that on the Clippers. When you get Chris Paul, everybody kind of knows what Chris Paul is. Not just as a player, but also what Chris Paul is as a personality and as a presence in your locker room and in your organization. And I want to remind people what Chris Paul did last year in San Antonio. Did you hear any issues about Chris Paul in San Antonio last year?
No.
Chris Paul played all 82 games in San Antonio last year in his year 20 season. Like, let's put that in perspective. Chris Paul, by all accounts, was a great, teacher and mentor to Stephon Castle and obviously Wemby while Wemby was there and things. And then when they got De'Aaron Fox, they, seem to get along really well. I think it comes down to when you made the decision to bring Chris Paul home, it was a nice story knowing this was going to be his final season. He announced it was going to be his final season to be able to play for the franchise that he helped resurrect, to be frank, when he got there in the early 2010s. It's just a terrible way to handle business. But you also understand what you're bringing in when you bring in Chris Paul. He is a strong personality. He is someone who is going to point out, hey, maybe we need to do this, maybe we need to do that. Now, Chris Haynes, the great insider and reporter, has some information around this that I thought was very interesting. Apparently, the Clippers were playing the Mavericks, and Klay Thompson was killing them. And they had Kawhi guarding Klay Thompson. And CP3 said, hey, maybe we need to switch that. And assistant coach Jeff Van Gundy didn't like that. Now, apparently, this wasn't the first time this happened. There were some other things that, had happened.
I seen a video, shout out Low. Low did a reaction to it where it was the game when they played Cleveland, and it was with Kawhi matchup. And one, it was how Kawhi was not pressing. Chris Paul had a problem how he wasn't pressing Donovan Mitchell, and Donovan Mitchell getting so easy. And then also Chris Paul attacked the team from a point where Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell was literally inbounding the ball and letting it roll. And if you don't touch the ball, the shot clock don't go down. Right. The clock is still running. Chris Paul was yelling like, hey, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Come on. They running the clock out. And that was another coincidence too. So I'm like, if those things were the things that Chris Paul was calling out, I don't think that was a problem. I do have a problem, like maybe undermining the coach, but I know you still got your point. I'll let you continue, but that's the one I think what it was like kind of threw me off a little bit with CP.
Yeah, no, and again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Obviously, what has happened has happened. I always try to think about this thing holistically and present it that way. But the big question for me is when Chris Paul requested, said, hey, he told Lawrence Frank or the front, hey, I'd like to meet with Ty Lue, and Ty Lue didn't want to meet with him and have a conversation with him because they hadn't spoken for some time. That's a big problem. I don't care if you're 1 through 15, the 1 player or the 15th player. The head coach's door should be open to have a conversation. And if there's a conversation that needs to be had and said, hey, I appreciate what you're doing, but I need you to cut this out a bit or to lay back on this a bit. Why Ty Lue didn't have that conversation, I don't know. And I'm just saying from a coaching perspective, there shouldn't be a single time that a player wants to meet with you or talk with you that you don't have a conversation with them.
Right.
Particularly if they say, hey, I want to meet with you.
And sure, I even double the point of, okay, let's just play devil's advocate. You don't want the 15 man on the bench can't talk with the coach because you're the 15 man on the bench. That's cool. But it's a difference when that 15 man on your bench will get his jersey retired for this franchise. That's a different type of player. And if you know anything go wrong with this player while he's on his retirement tour, it will make the franchise look bad, and it will make you look bad as a coach. I have a problem. The main two things, like I say, I want to spend too much time on this, but the main two things that I did have a problem that I think could have been easy stuff. One for Chris. Chris, I think he did everything right about calling out the team. The only thing he did wrong was undermining the coach, because I know they had like a practice when Chris Paul was telling James Hart something about the play. And then I guess James went to the coach like, Chris said this or call it this. And then Ty Lue said, FCP, we ain't doing this and nothing like that. I just think like as a player, and no matter how smart you is, CP, you shouldn't undermine a coach, at least not in front of the players. You and Ty Lue can have y'all back and forth behind the scenes. Because I think Chris Paul coming back to the Clippers should have been just an enjoyment of him, a celebration of him. But his IQ and how good he is, he should have been like an assistant coach to the team. Ty Lue problem is, brother, you are the head coach. You are the leader of this team. You are the commander-in-chief. You are Captain America. How you don't have the respect or even, I don't even want to say the cojones to talk to somebody. You're the coach. If I feel like you can't talk to the 15 man on the bench, no matter how irritating he is, that's the problem. And then that shows me what's the problem with the Clippers. That's why Kawhi Leonard is just doing whatever he wants with the Clippers now. Because I guarantee today nobody said nothing to Kawhi Leonard at all. Injuries or not. Injuries or not. And that's what the problem came. If I'm the head coach of a team, I'm talking to all my players, but also I'm letting everybody understand until I'm fired, this is how I'm running the show. This is how I run it. Is you like it or not? We are running this team like this. It's simple math. And that's what you're supposed to do as a coach, as the leader of the franchise.
Now, I will say this real quick because I know we need to move on. There's something that usually happens at the beginning of the season, or even if a player comes in and after the season starts or midway through the season, they usually sit down with the coaches and the coaches define for them, here's the role we have for you right now. Right. I do have to wonder, did Ty Lue and that coaching staff have that conversation with Chris Paul to say, hey, this is your role. This is what we expect from you. Mm-hmm. And there was buy-in from that. I don't think Chris Paul was expecting to come in and play major minutes. He wasn't expecting to come in and be a starter. I think he was coming in and expecting to be a part of the rotation, but also he was expecting to be a leader, because no disrespect to James Harden or Kawhi Leonard, but those guys aren't really vocal leaders. That's not really what they do. So in the absence of that, someone like Chris Paul, who again is at the end of his career, we understand that, but this is who he has been from the moment we've seen Chris Paul has been on the scene. We've known this is who Chris Paul. Chris Paul was like this in high school, to be clear. Yes, this is who he is. So I just have to wonder if that happened. And again, the Clippers haven't really said much, but at the end of the day, I do think there need to be, at least to your point, some level of
respect,
alignment. And again, alignment doesn't require agreement, but alignment in terms of here's what Chris is going to do. Here's what we expect from him. We're aligned in that. We're not going to always agree. That's the bottom line. But there can be some alignment, and there didn't seem to be any alignment really from jump.
Yeah, usually with point guards like these, like CP, Rondo with the high IQ, they call out stuff when they see it a lot, and it don't work out for every situation. But I just feel like all I think was like how annoying Chris Paul be, because that they couldn't last a couple more months because it's supposed to be his retirement tour. But whatever. Tone said, "Did you guys hear that Phillip Rivers is getting a workout with the Colts with the Colts tomorrow because of Dan?" Yes, we have, and we are going to talk about this. We got like one more NBA story, and we get right to football. Seriously, with the Colts, yes, they are having. Yes, they are. So we gonna get into that because that is like breaking news at the top. Last one, NBA, and I'm gonna move. We had a dynasty talk, but since that breaking news happened, we're gonna have this talk first, Sean, or NFL. But Harden has passed Carmelo Anthony, entering all-time NBA scoring top 10. How are we legitly looking at Harden as a scorer, as a bucket getter?
I mean, he's a bucket getter. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this. He's a guy who gets buckets. That's who he's been. Really coming off the bench in OKC to start his career as a sixth man, and then obviously going to Houston and becoming the franchise player there. That's who he is. So no surprise that he's done this. He's had a great deal of longevity in his career. So no surprise he's done this.
No, I'm not surprised at it. I think a lot of players in this era, with how the game has evolved, the skill set of a lot of these players, I think they're going to break a lot of records. I think only one that's going to be in question is John Stockton assist record from like how the games he played and how he was getting. That's the only one I'm questioning anybody might get. But
and the rebounds record as well,
and the rebound record too. Yeah, that's going to be tough to beat. But Harden is up there with one of the players who changed the game. That double step back, the way he dribbled and scored, and I would say the only thing was shout out to Chris Paul. Not shout out. It'll be both to say shout out. Unfortunately, Chris Paul got injured because if James Harden's style of play was to find a way to win, Sean, oh my God, do you know how many teams would probably be trying to do like get one ISO score with shooters and just shoot threes? What happened because when Golden State won, what did people change to? The Golden State style. What's the Nuggets won? What do people change? It's a copycat league. That's all I'm saying. So he was such a great scorer where the one style of play where we all said you cannot win playing this style of play. He was a game away from the finals. Now, how he would have played against Cleveland, I don't know. I think it would have been a tough task unless Chris Paul would have got hurt. But I think James Harden is one of the best scorers of all time. He's in that conversation. That's the thing I'm gonna say because I do want to get this football. I do got a real takeover reaction for that. He said if Kevin Durant, if he plays every game this season, he could pass Jordan for third all time. He's on pace. I can see that. A lot of people gonna get past this generation.
Remember Jordan's not third all time. Karl Malone is.
Karl Malone, yeah. So he probably saying fourth, maybe fourth. Jordan fourth, right?
No, I believe someone else is, but hold on, let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Look it up too. I know LeBron is Jesus.
Kobe is fourth.
Kobe is fourth. Yep, Kobe is fourth. Jordan is
Jordan's fifth. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, Durant definitely going. Once Durant ends his career, Durant gonna be three. He's probably gonna be three. Because I think Durant got what? He's at 31,000. By the end of this season, he'd probably be at like 32. Two more years. I think he's gonna be right under Kareem.
I think it'll be under Karl Malone.
Right under Karl Malone, if not past Karl Malone. But he probably gonna pass Karl Malone like this. He's not gonna catch Kareem though. But KD, that's another person that's one of the greatest scorers of all time. Yeah, but I just think this era of basketball has just changed the game where we just in a new era. Like a lot of people don't even like Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook top 20. It's just this era. But we got to get into some NFL, so football. Since the breaking news has kind of jumbled our stories around, so we had to maneuver some stories up because of the breaking news. But part of the breaking news with the Phillip Rivers news that he might possibly return, that is the former Charger. Colts Daniel Jones to have surgery on a torn Achilles, Sean. And I could have sworn I said on our last show, he should sit down with this calf injury because you know what happened with these calf injuries? They're going to lead to a torn Achilles. And voila, magic, torn Achilles. And the Colts season is possibly done. What is your reaction to Daniel Jones' torn Achilles, I should say, Sean? Are you shocked? I'm not shocked at all because he kept trying to play it and he shouldn't have played on it.
I mean, if you watched him last week against Houston, he could barely get up when he got knocked down. He got knocked down a few times. He couldn't run. It was clear he wasn't, healthy. This is the risk you take when you play, particularly with a lower leg or lower body injury. And now, he may have very well cost himself, a huge contract in the offseason.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
So, it stinks, but the bigger picture for the Colts is now they have to figure out the quarterback situation because Anthony Richardson is out with a detached retina. Riley Leonard is day-to-day with a knee injury. So, they are basically quarterbackless. Their emergency quarterback yesterday was Tyler Warren. And I don't think you want Tyler Warren playing quarterback if you're the Colts. So they've got to figure some things out, like, quickly.
Now. Yeah. And Sean, what kills me though, right? It was when I said he shouldn't have played. Because I get it. You having a good season. The Colts got a chance at the playoffs. Because let's be honest, when we did our season predictions, and I can pull up man's and I can pull up yours, I could have sworn we both had the Colts. Colts at the bottom. And yours, we had the Colts at the bottom. What you did right here was more than enough, Daniel Jones. What you did with this Colts team, you show enough to get your contract. But no, you let these people tell you, yeah, go out here and play, or you didn't let them protect you from yourself. You went out there and played because you know what this organization even know. If he gets hurt, which he probably is going to do, we don't have to pay him because Daniel Jones was in an MVP conversation. Now you can add more to Jonathan Taylor, but if not, they was going to have to pay him a lot of guaranteed money. If I was Daniel Jones and the people around Daniel Jones had told him to sit his butt down because he ruined his bag, Sean. Because don't get me wrong, let's be honest, Sean, you the coach. No matter how good Daniel Jones played, he just torn his Achilles. How much guaranteed money are you trying to get this man?
I mean, I don't know if that's even in the conversation right now. I think,
even would you re-sign him?
I mean, again,
I'm a lowballer. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I mean, I don't think
I'm a lowballer.
I mean, I don't think it was even a matter of that. I think it was a matter of, hey, clearly he had shown that he could, help lead that franchise with everything around him being very right, which it was. Jonathan Taylor and obviously Pittman and Pierce, the receivers, and Tyler Warren and Cox, the tight ends, and a pretty good offensive line led by Quentin Nelson, and the defense played pretty well. So it was shown, hey, Daniel Jones can do some things here as long as we got everything right around him, which, he did. Whether he was their long-term, future will still remain to be seen. Maybe they were going to franchise him after the season, which I think was probably been more of an option. They still may very well do that. I don't know. They're under new leadership, obviously, because the Irsay daughters are running the team now. So, I think it's a matter of, kind of what their thing is once they get to that point. Right now, they got to figure out who's going to be playing quarterback for them on Sunday. That's the biggest thing because they got a game coming up and they got to figure out who's under center. And until they figure that out, I think Daniel Jones, nothing against Daniel Jones, but that's the furthest thing from their minds.
And it's funny that you do say that who's going to be the quarterback because Tall asked, did you guys hear Phillip Rivers is getting a workout with the Colts tomorrow because Daniel Jones injured? And he said, no, serious news. NFL coach Phillip Rivers having tryouts tomorrow per Fox Spur Radio. And yes, Sean, Colts most likely land spot for Phillip Rivers. It said, Colts, with Phillip Rivers set to hit free agency for the first time. So I guess he's not going to be retired. the Indianapolis Colts appear to be the most likely destination for him. Phillip Rivers is 38 years old. He has played for the Colts. Obviously, he played for the Chargers. This one hard for me because I got a soft spot for Phillip Rivers. But do you think this is the right thing to do?
No.
Okay.
No.
Why?
Did you see Phillip Rivers last season with the Colts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How long ago was that?
Last year, right?
No.
Last year, 2 years ago?
2020.
2020, yeah. 2020, you're right. 2020. Yeah.
So he hadn't played in the NFL in 5 years.
Yeah, nah, he needs to sit it down, man. What he chasing?
I mean, again, if they view themselves as a Super Bowl contender, that's what he's chasing. But no. And I know, Phillip Rivers and his wife got a bunch of kids and, and things of that nature.
I mean, that's probably why he's trying to get that bag. If you go get the bag, you got a lot of kids you got to feed. But I think he's fine.
He has money. That ain't the issue.
I don't know. He got a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids to get.
No. You haven't played in the NFL in 5 years. Remember that that Frito-Lay commercial with Emmitt Smith and Jerry Rice and Dan Marino and Randy Moss? Mm-hmm. And like you sit at home and be like, yeah, I think I can still get it. The Colts play Seattle on Sunday afternoon in Seattle. You don't think the Seahawks will be chomping at the bit if Phillip Rivers is under center for them?
Oh, they're going to destroy Phillip.
Yeah. It's some ideas need to stay an idea.
Yeah, it's got to be other quarterbacks out here. Like I don't know if the team.
You
can't trade for nobody, obviously, unless do something under the table.
Yeah, I mean, again, the way you can't trade. I mean, you can't trade for anyone, of course, because the trade deadline is passed. Certainly, the Colts could maybe apply for an injury exception with the NFL. Maybe that could be their option as well. But short of a team releasing a guy or or someone being on someone's practice squad, no, there's not a lot of options out there for them. They just, quarterbacks is not just sitting at home, for 3 years and 4 years waiting for a call.
It was one guy, but
who's that?
Collins.
Well, yeah, but again, Colin Kaepernick hadn't played in the NFL in 9 years. Like, I love Colin Kaepernick. I would love to see him get another chance, but after 9 years,
it's over with. It's done. I'm trying to see who's available like now on the practice squad or anything. I'm looking. I don't really see no notable.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not. There's no one coming in to save the Colts. What the Colts can do is obviously see where Riley Leonard is. I think they may have another quarterback on their practice squad as well, who they may have signed after Anthony Richardson went out. But ultimately, right now, it's figure out how you're going to play without Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson under center. That's your job. That's the job. Figure it out.
Right. If you go get somebody this low, you should have just said I might call Tom Brady too. Might as well ask Tom Brady if he go come out of retirement too. If that's the case,
at least he's played more recently.
But yeah, I'm gonna say you might as well ask Tom Brady to come out of retirement.
Yeah, but there's a reason why these guys retire.
It ain't the same. You see, Aaron Rodgers don't look the same.
He looked pretty good yesterday, but but I'm just saying, So yeah, no, we can move on. I know we have a lot of time we need to get through.
Yeah, get through. Yeah, because the game for the start, my Chargers for the play. Jayden Daniels hurt again because the Commanders organization. Nothing. I know I had to report nothing crazy. The Commanders organization, the Redskin organization, whatever you guys want to call these guys, they do not do a good job of managing their quarterbacks. If I go look at the standings, the Commanders are 3-10, and I guess 3-9 if you count the last game because I know they lost. They are nowhere near. If I'm not wrong, I might as well just be safe, straightforward. They are out of playoff contention.
Yes.
Why are you bringing your quarterback who broke his arm? Jayden Daniels sit out for the season. It's okay. You wasted Jayden Daniels' time. You wasted the Commanders' fan base time, and you almost risked hopefully you don't risk your quarterback being out longer than what he's supposed to be. He has no reason to come back. I at least respect the Bengals bringing Joe Burrow back because I was shaky about it too. But once the Steelers started losing and the Ravens in between, I'm like, they got an actual chance. The Eagles are 8-4. You have no chance. You have no chance of making the playoffs. You're eliminated. It's no reason Jayden Daniels should have been played. And this is got to get to a point where this franchise needs to be investigated with how they handle their quarterbacks. For me, what was your reaction to it? Should Jayden Daniels been out there?
If he was healthy, I think he's going to play. I think they felt he was healthy based on how he practiced, that he was healthy enough to play. I do think there are a couple of things about Jayden Daniels that when he was coming out of the draft process concerned me. He's not the biggest guy. So he's kind of slender, guy. Obviously, never to question the talent. It was just his build. But I think the two things that really worried me. One is he and the team and his team are going to have to figure out how to manage him the rest of the season. Because again, it's been, a knee injury, it's been a hamstring injury, it's been now an elbow injury. I think at a certain point they have to make an organizational decision. And I'm saying organizational, including all of those parties, to say, is this the best thing for him to play? I don't know if it is, but I think they need to make that decision. And the second thing is Michael Strahan said yesterday that he thinks Jayden Daniels needs to alter his play style. I'm going to lean towards Michael Strahan. Maybe he does. But what I do think is that, again, the questions about his durability were not an issue his rookie year. Now they are. What can he do to, alleviate those concerns? Is it changing his play style? Is it figuring out a way to change his body to take some of the punishment and things, particularly as a guy who does like to run and use his legs? Those are the things I think they need to figure out. But I'm not going to say whether or not he should have been playing. If he was healthy and he looked healthy in practice and he was cleared to play, then I think he's got to play.
I think not. I don't think it was injured because it's because of what kind of injury he had got, Sean. His arm was broken. You're risking too much trying to bring him back out. That's just me, though. Next up, Bengals Trey Hendrickson will be out for the season with a season injury. Wait, I pulled up the Zach Ertz one. I'm sorry. He undergo core muscle surgery that is expected to silent for about 6 weeks, so he's done for the season.
Mm-hmm.
How big of him? This one, I'd say like this big, but for me, they wouldn't really rock with each other anyway. So I think this is more of a big hit for him because of free agency. He's gonna actually be a legit free agent coming to free agency. Now, Where would he go? That'll be a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on where he is in terms of his health and things of that nature. But obviously, we'll wait to see where that is.
Now, with all these injuries that have happened, Sean, and there's a couple that's on this list, and we are right on the cusp of the playoff race. Biggest injury of the season so far right now from everything that has gone. Who would you say?
I mean, I think without question is Daniel Jones. The Colts were definitely in contention, and now they aren't, without Daniel Jones and without Anthony Richardson. So I would say Daniel Jones definitely.
I would have to agree with you. I think it is Daniel Jones for sure. With Daniel Jones being out, that literally turned the whole course for the Indianapolis Colts. They were the NFL shocker. I think Daniel Jones on cusp of winning comeback player of the year. And for them to just get thrown out, I don't think they all their chances of being legit threats in the playoffs are now gone without Daniel Jones, which is to say. Now, speaking of things being gone, this team right now is currently third in their division, 6-7. They usually dominate their division. Right now, they're third. That's AFC West. Is the Chiefs dynasty over, Sean?
I think as we currently see it, yes, but I think they have the ability to retool over the next couple of years and do again what the Patriots did. You know, Patriots had a run in the early 2000s, and then they had to retool. And
it took some time to retool. People don't realize that though.
It took some time, but
It took some time.
ultimately, it was a matter of them saying, hey, listen, we got to, do something, do something else. I just think, again, to me, the greater issue is that the Chiefs, as we know it, may need to pivot. I think it may be time to say goodbye to Travis Kelce. I think it's, maybe getting closer time to say goodbye to Chris Jones. Some of those guys, it's time to retool and figure out how you're going to, continue to maximize the window you have with Patrick Mahomes and with Andy Reid, because again, Andy Reid is one of the older coaches in the NFL. Don't know how much longer he's going to be your head coach. So they got to, figure out. They don't want to go, 10 years without winning a Super Bowl like the Patriots did. So,
as a Chargers fan, I want to say yes, the dynasty is over, and I would want it to be. But I'm being honest. No, it's not. It's not at all. And I don't want to go too in-depth because we do have a real take overreaction with what you said. I'm going to take credit for this because I definitely had to react to that one. But I don't think so. I just think you are seeing the team that's on the tail end of depletion of going on championship runs. That's all it. That's literally it. This team went on a lot of championship runs. They had a lot of talent. And when you win and you got talent or you develop talent, people want to get paid, and you can't keep everybody. When your quarterback out of his rookie deal, you got to pay your quarterback. A lot of other players going to be gone. So I just think the dynasty is not over. They just void of talent, and they are on the depleted end of a championship run. So them losing is actually a good thing for them, so they can add more talent to this team. So unfortunately, no. The dynasty is not over with the Chiefs. Now, as much as I want it to be, I can't. Let's go ahead and talk into this Browns game. Shedeur Sanders has been named the starter for the rest of the season, where he put on a masterclass performance. He is the first rookie of this year quarterbacks to throw for 300-plus yards. When they said this rookie class was trash, I did not believe it. And that shows the point where they had a guy who's supposed to win second, dropped to the fifth. Ain't nobody else threw for 300. This rookie draft class, we might have to go back and look at it and be like, it ain't as good as we thought it was. And it'd be crazy if Shedeur ended up being the best one out of all of them, and they blackballed him. But Shedeur went 23 for 42, 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he ran one in, and he led the team in rushing yards with 29 rushing yards. Quinshon Jenkins, you got to lock in. That can't happen no more. But yeah, Shedeur led the team rushing yards. He got a rushing TD and 3 passing touchdowns. And will be named the starter of the season. How do you grade Shedeur? How do you grade Shedeur's performance?
B+.
B+. Oh,
B+. Okay. Yeah, B+. Yeah. Yeah, he
Okay.
made some good plays yesterday. I think 2 things. One, I think the Titans did a good job of trying to make the Browns one-dimensional, obviously. And then the other piece was the Browns did get down, and so they did have to throw the football to get back in the game. He made some good plays. Can't take it away from him. Obviously, he had a couple plays that if he could get them back, he would, as well. But I think while people will talk about the game yesterday, probably the thing that was most impressive to me was how he was at the podium after the game. Because that's the telltale of whether or not this can be a franchise guy. It's not just what you do on the field. It's what you do in front of the media, in front of the podium. I thought he was great yesterday in front of the podium with some of the questions he was getting. So to me, he's earned the right to be the starter for the rest of the season. At this point, Shedeur is not competing against Dylan Gabriel. Shedeur is competing against that Brown, not even Deshaun Watson, if you're being honest. He's competing against what the Browns may decide to do with that top pick they're going to have this year in the draft, because it looks like they're going to end up with another top 5 pick. So that's who he's competing against. And for them to go into the offseason, if he's shown enough to say, hey, this guy is going to be our starter for 2026, we can take a quarterback, but we don't have to. We can invest in other areas of our team. That's what Shedeur is competing against. And that's, I think what he's got to do the very simple thing, which is control the controllables. As long as he's doing that and continuing to show progression and growth, I think, obviously he's going to make it a very interesting conversation for the Browns during the offseason.
For me, I get Shedeur A-. I watched this game thoroughly. I think only problem that you could see with Shedeur, but obviously I think there's more of a reps and time thing. This is his third game. Hold the ball a little bit too long. Obviously, that's been a problem with Shedeur. You got to add a little bit more of that. And sometimes, even though crazy, and I can agree with why he does it, because I can agree why he does this, because I don't want to get hit either. But sometimes you got to step in that pocket and stay in that pocket and just you go get hit, but zip the ball out of it. That's it. Because sometimes he was throwing off his back foot a couple throws where he kind of missed because he was preparing for the hit instead of just lasering it out there, because you're gonna get hit regardless. But so that's why it's more with like me on that end when it comes to that with Shedeur. But besides that, I give this game an A-. And I do agree with the thing you said about having to compete with the Browns next year. I think I compete with the organization in general too, because when you talk about competing with the organization, perfect example, the last play of the game, Shedeur, your quarterback brought you back into the game, Sean. You ran a Wildcat 2-point conversion, which is terrible. I'm sorry. If my quarterback got me in the game, back in the game, you got to let him finish.
I don't want to get into that piece of it because I wasn't necessarily a fan of the play call. But again,
it was a terrible play call, Sean.
Well, again, it's terrible. It's only terrible because it didn't work. Right. If it works, it's great. It's like, oh, they figured something out. They had run it before. They had run it in practice. It worked in practice, according to Shedeur. So he didn't have issue with them calling it. But obviously, from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, they set him up to fail and blah, blah, blah. I'm not buying into that. I didn't particularly care for the play call. But again, we're not at practice every day. He said in the post-game press conference, they practiced it. It worked in practice. So when they called it, it wasn't a big shock to him. So that's where I'm going to lean on what he had to say, and what other guys had to say. It's something they've run before. It just didn't work. The defense did their job and blew it up. So I'm going to leave it at that.
I do agree with you with Shedeur. I think he does show he's a leader amongst men when it comes to being that leader at quarterback, because he's the face. He doesn't avoid the question. He asks all the questions needs to be answered, and he answered them the right way too. Because the media tries to trip him up, and that's one thing that Deion did prepare him for. I don't think Shedeur would never have a problem in the media. I don't think I'll never see Shedeur saying the wrong thing when it comes to the media.
Right.
But we got to do the injury bug. Do you have one for the injury bug? Because I know we kind of talked about a couple injuries. Do you have one or no? Or
no, just Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones is the biggest one. Or I got one basketball-wise. SGA will miss his first game of the season versus the Jazz, but I think OKC will get it done versus the Jazz without SGA. He has elbow issues. I think this is a rest game, but we you can't say I rested my play, you're going to get fined. So, but yeah, SGA got elbow issues. He's out. Week 14 recap as a whole. What I learned, if I had to break it down, Sean, the first things first, I think through 14 weeks, this is the most open in the NFL has been in a while, where I genuinely will tell you, if anybody watching and listening, can nobody tell you right now who is the favorite to win the championship? I don't know. The Bears just went from the 1st seed to the 7th seed off one loss. And the NFL is so wide open where you genuinely don't know who's going to come out each side. You genuinely don't know. And then that's what I can say, because I enjoyed every game of football that I watched across. The main ones I paid attention to was the Browns and the Bears. And I watched this Chargers game too, but I glimpsed in a little bit of the Rams, but they was blowing them out. I did not watch a lick of that Vikings game, and I watched that Cowboys game too, Cowboys and the Lions. But I can tell you right now, Sean, that the NFL is wide open. I genuinely don't know who's winning the championship. I couldn't tell you.
I mean, that's a good thing. So I think and I don't think we should ever complain about that. That's an absolute good thing, SB.
Yeah.
I think two things. One, what we do know, and I will say about the NFC in particular, we know there's going to be one of those teams in either the NFC North or the NFC West who any other season will be a playoff team, will not be a playoff team this year. Who that's going to be remains to be seen. But those three teams at the top of the NFC North are fighting for 2 spots.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think the NFC West, San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams, they're fighting for, so you got 6 teams really fighting for 5 spots because obviously the winner of the NFC South and the winner of the NFC East are getting in the playoffs. But you got 5, it's musical chairs, 5 teams fighting for, 6 teams for fighting for 5 spots. So, and that's part of what's making the end of this season very intriguing, giving some of these matchups that we're going to see, down the stretch. And in the AFC, again, New England right now, Denver right now, but they're both, kind of in the race for that 1 seed. But I don't look at either of those teams and I say, oh, yeah, that's a surefire Super Bowl team. I don't, because there's a team in Texas, and it's not the Cowboys, that I think if they play Denver or New England, they're winning those games as long with that defense, and as long as 7 is back there at quarterback and 12 at receivers playing. So, but that Houston defense is legitly serious. So, that's my recap of the week.
They're really looking at it. You got, just real quick, I know we got to go to our real takeover reaction. NFC North, Packers 9-3-1, Bears 9-4-0, the Lions 8-5. Then you go to the NFC West, 10-3 Rams, Seahawks 10-3-0, 49ers 9-4-0. It legitly might be a double-digit win team that don't make the playoffs in the NFC. Legitly. Holy. You
literally could have an 11 or 12 win team in the NFC at home in the playoffs. So that's just the reality, but it's just also the reminder of, these divisions are getting better. Again, the NFC North, for example, and the NFC West this year are I think those 2 divisions where, nothing's guaranteed. It's just the way it is. So.
And I do like that they put all the division games last, so that means like you could like you said, like the Bears lost a division game. They went from the 1st to the 7th seed that quick. So yeah, it does happen like that. Quick Monday night preview. We got to get to the game. The game already on now. My Chargers are going against the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see how this goes. But a quick real takeover reaction. We only got 3 today, Sean. This was you, well, at least 2, because I want to answer this first one. Real take or overreaction for Sean. The Chiefs will not win another Super Bowl under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Sean, this is a overreaction. Like I said earlier, I just think they're on the back end of a multiple championship runs. I believe Patrick Mahomes have not missed the AFC championship game yet in his career, has he? Come on, man. You go that deep in the playoffs. I think it is an overreaction. I think this year was the best thing that could possibly happen to them so they can actually add some assets to their team. Because I think they just need more talent, and they got to get rid of the old guys. You got to put some young faces in there.
Yeah, it's an overreaction. As long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are in Kansas City and they both are, a health, sound mind and body, the Chiefs will always be in the Super Bowl conversation. So it's an overreaction. But to your point, it is time for them to restart and to reset and to, again, bring in some young quality talent. These long playoff runs always catch up.
Yep.
Right. It always catches up. And I think it's caught up to them this season. And the blessing in disguise may be if they don't make the playoffs, that, they'll get a chance to get started on their offseason earlier than usual.
Yeah. I think it's better to have your team depleted out because of too many playoff runs, too many long playoff runs, and you competing for championships and winning championships, then your team depleting out because mismanagement of money. So I think the Chiefs doing the right job. Real take or overreaction. After being the number 1 seed, the Colts will miss the playoffs. This is a real take. I have to agree with you on this, Sean. This is a real take. No, which is crazy how we talk trash about Daniel Jones, but no Danny Dimes, playoffs, you will not be on that type of time. You would not be in the playoffs on that time. I'm sorry. I'll have to agree. This is a real take. No Daniel Jones. I can't see. Then now it's like you don't got Richardson. You don't got the other guy. What's his name? Leonard. You don't got him. You literally said you're going to call a quarterback who's been sitting on his couch for 5 years. No, sir. Yes, this is a real take.
Yes, absolutely a real take. Yeah, it's a real take. I think they're done. And again, in their division, Jacksonville is playing surprisingly well, and the Texans were down, but they were not out, and they are coming. So, yeah, I think they're done. I think they will not make the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay, now this is what it's me, Sean. Real take or overreaction, Sean? I believe James Harden is the top 10 scorer of all time.
So that's a real take for you.
Yes. He's in the top 10.
I think he's in the conversation. Whether he's top 10, obviously, that's something we'd have to, do some serious breakdown on. And I know we got to get to this game. But no, I would say he's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah, no, I think so. I'm pushing him more of the pedestal because of he has the impact of changing the game. I think when you have the impact of changing how the game is played, you look at a different tier. And then we can have a deep dive because James Harden score runs is some top tier. Top tier. We got to do a quick rundown of the picks of the week, Sean, and we get up out of here.
All right.
SB and Sean NFL picks of the week.
SB and Sean NFL picks of the week. What was the recap, Sean?
Real quick, Seattle at Atlanta. We both took Seattle. Seattle did win that game. Cincinnati at Buffalo. We both took Buffalo. Buffalo did win that game. Tennessee at Cleveland. I took the Titans. You took the Browns. Tennessee did win that game. Washington at Minnesota. We both took the Commanders. The Commanders got crushed. Miami at the Jets. You took the Dolphins. I took the Jets. Miami did win that game. Miami, surprisingly, still fighting this season. Saints at the Buccaneers. We both took the Buccaneers. Saints did win that game. Colts at Jacksonville. We both took the Colts. Jacksonville did blow them out. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. We both took the Ravens. Pittsburgh did win that game. Denver at Las Vegas. We both took the Broncos. Broncos did win that game. Geno Smith went out with a shoulder injury. He should have been in the injury report for us today. Yeah. Rams at Arizona. We both took the Rams. Rams dominated. Houston at Kansas City. I took the Texans. You took the Chiefs. Texans did win that game. And tonight's game, Philadelphia at the Chargers. I took the Eagles. You took the Chargers. But regardless of the outcome of tonight's game, I did win this week's picks of the week.
That sucks. We got to lock in, SBC. We got to lock in. But it has been another great episode of Real Takes over Faded Bets, SB and Sean Webb. The Chargers game is on, so you know I got to lock in on this Chargers game. And me and Sean will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Real takes over fake debates.